Is that
which is
oh, I've got an exclusive. I feel
super
like feel proper
exclusive.
now.
You know what? I'll even show you the inspiration.
Oh, hello and welcome to the next instalment of Moving the Spotlight. Today's guest is a very good friend of ours and a fantastic talent, so I'm really looking forward to chatting to her and finding everything about it. So I'm going to bring her in right now. Here she is, the wonderful Chloe Mogg. Hey, Chloe.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, good. I'm used to sitting at home, talking to a camera and not talking to real people anymore. I mean, how does that work? You know, it's mental, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's the new normal, but
I
it is
know.
really, isn't
I
it?
know. I literally spend my life not looking at real people. It's going to be so weird when I have to hug someone because I'll be like, oh, can we do this? Are we allowed? It's like, what's
I
going
feel
on?
socially awkward now.
Well, I was socially awkward before, so I mean, it's going to be even worse when we go out there and it's just like, hello, fist bump. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah. So thank you so much for joining me on this. I'm moving the spotlight, and I was so glad when you said yes because I really want to dig in with you about obviously you as a musician, stuff you've done, how you've had to change. Because obviously I know how we've had to change stuff and go through stuff, but I really want to know from your side, and then look at the industry with gigs and everything like that, and all that
Yeah.
kind of jazz. So we'll start. We'll ease you in gently.
Okay.
As we do. So how did you kind of know about us? I was trying to think when you and I first met. I think I know, but
I
you
think I know as
go
well.
on, go for it.
Was it the Treehouse sessions? I
Yes, it
think we
was.
briefly met there.
Yeah, it
I think,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think Mimi was playing, and if no one's been to a Treehouse Sessions, is it in a secret location, Chloe? Am I gonna?
Yeah, it is a secret location, but
Yeah,
it is amazing. It's
yeah.
so probably one of the best gigs I've ever played because it's just so like ethereal and it's just like a magical fairyland basically.
You literally walk through someone's house, don't you, to get
Yeah,
there?
it's quite weird to go for
And
the
then
house.
I'm like, oh, and then there's like this whole production thing, like in like the back room, and you're like, oh, hello, and there's like so many limited tickets, and you're sitting in this like kind of back garden. And there's this
Mm.
wicked stage, and there's a wicked thing like in the corner, and it's like, oh my god! And then I know you came on and played and stuff and blew me away. I remember you had like huge flares on as well.
I did have flares on actually. I remember my outfit now.
Yeah, you see, see, I was there, and it was. I remember it being a bit cold, but you smashed it. It was amazing. I was like, oh my
Oh,
god! And
thank
I
you.
was talking to Mimi. I was like, this girl's incredible. She's like, yeah, listen to this, and then she started playing me your stuff, and I was like, oh my god, this is class.
Oh,
So yeah,
guys.
that was the first time we met. So yeah, so what's what's it been like then? You know, as a music, I know from my side. What's it been like for you as a musician in these weird times last year?
Um, I mean, I feel like I'm quite an optimistic person
Mm.
in some ways, and I feel like I have to. If I don't keep my spirits high in some way, I'm just going to go.
Yeah, yeah,
So, the way that I think about it, like the positives, I suppose, if there are any, is I've actually started live streaming, and I really, really love live streaming. And I know that you guys live stream, well, you live stream every Thursday, which is you're keeping it going for like a year now. Is that right?
yeah. Pretty much a year. But do you not get more nervous by live streaming than doing an actual gig because of the tech issue and the
Oh
tech stuff? It's horrendous.
Yeah, especially I did a release party for Attack, which is my last single, and I had to. it, I think we finally got to the right link on the fourth try.
Oh
It
my
just kept
word!
crashing, and I was like, "This is not going well." But
It is the most
yeah,
weirdest feeling though, isn't it? Because I've had um, like sound issues or your internet dropping, and then
yeah,
partnering through your phone and stuff. So it's just man, it was the only way for me really to kind of. I don't know about you, but I needed to kind of express that emotion through playing live and
yeah,
doing that. And
yeah.
it's not the same. It is definitely not the same.
No,
But it does feel that tiny bit of a hole. But
definitely, yeah. And I mean, you are going out to a wider world because, like, been some people on my streams that are like in New Zealand or something, and I'm like,
wow,
well, they usually wouldn't be able to watch me if I was live in Birmingham. So
no.
it's that's a nice aspect of it, I suppose. But it is strange. It is strange.
Yeah. How did you find them releasing music then? Because we've deliberately, obviously, we've got nothing to release. We haven't recorded anything because we're going to go into the studio when it's nice and
Yeah.
safe. But how was it releasing that and doing that in
Um,
COVID?
it's a weird one, really. I mean, my producer's actually my boyfriend Miron, so
Nice.
it's great, and we work together a lot. And so it wasn't really different in that aspect because that's what we
Mm.
do anyway. The only different thing is we couldn't go into the studio to record drums with my drummer Jack Bowles. and so we're having to like communicate with Jack to record at home, and it's just like back and forth that way kind of thing, which is,
No way.
I think, everyone's having to deal with that at the moment. But yeah, I mean, the release of it, I suppose, because everyone's online,
Yeah.
that was, I suppose, a good aspect of it. And I actually released 3 singles last year, and they were all obviously during the pandemic, so I haven't actually released proper music before. So it was, I don't know, like a first time for me, really. So I
Yeah.
didn't really know what to expect.
I
But
mean, if
yeah.
you're gonna do it in a pandemic, eh? Send
Well,
release music. Why do one when you can do 3? And how have you found like the reception to your music and stuff like that from releasing it? Do you see as people really needed it? Because I've seen that, and your stuff's amazing. So have you
oh,
have
thank
you
you.
have you seen that from people? Have they been more engaged because everyone's online and are at home and on phones and stuff?
Yeah, I'd say so. Especially like the songs that I have released are more like, I released a song called Judgment Day, which was a bit of a different vibe to it than on my usual stuff. And then I released a song called Helping Hand, which I felt needed to be shared because the world needs a helping hand right now.
Yeah.
And then Attack was about anxiety, and I mean the mental health cases have just gone during this pandemic, so I was like, right, that needs to be heard right now. But yeah, I mean the reception's been really good. I've been quite lucky, I suppose, with it. And I've built quite a good fan base online, which has been really, really good.
Oh, that's amazing. No, it is. It's been surprising to us as well from our side as well. Like having that kind of community as well. Because obviously we go on like your streams and I see you pop up on ours and stuff like that. And it's the one thing I find when other musicians go on streams, and you've done this with me as well. If I've jumped on your stream, hey Co, you guys share the link, share your music and stuff like that. And I find that's a lot more acceptable now. Whereas probably a couple of years ago, artists weren't probably as friendly, maybe. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like because it's their stream. It's like
Yeah, they'd probably be a bit like, what are you doing? But now I feel like if you did that for my stream, or if I did the vice versa, it's you're helping a friend out.
yeah, totally.
Everyone needs help right now, so you might as well help them out.
Yeah, and this is I'm kind of in a weird way a bit like you. It's kind of what I like about where we are right now as a community or industry or whatever. There seems to be a lot more kind of inclusion with it as well. But what and obviously with Mimi and stuff like that, and I didn't even think I was going to go down this route with you. But how have you found the industry or the music industry for yourself? Because I've witnessed firsthand with Mimi how she gets treated sometimes being a woman in the music industry, or like with reviews and stuff like that, like female fronted band Mimi Detroit, and it's like, and it really gets on my nerves because it's got nothing to do. Her gender's got nothing to do with her talent, her music, and what she does. And we don't get called a male fronted Blue Nation,
That's
male
true.
band or boy band. Probably sometimes some people have called boy, but do you know what I mean? So how have you found that? Have you had any experiences with that at all?
I've been quite lucky that I haven't so far. The
Good.
only thing that I have had is my disabilities. People I've had, I've played gigs, and during a set, I actually had a flare up with my ME, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was like, I can't do anymore. I'm really, really sorry. And the promoter called me a disappointment and basically was like, I'm not going to pay you and all that. I'm like, I don't care about the money. I just, that's not a very nice thing to say. And I completely was like crying my eyes out. And I was like, you know what? You're going to be put on the bad list forever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can't be. But ever since then, it's just kind of been like a wake up call to just, always be true to myself. And if anyone doesn't like that, then bye. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I had no idea, but I didn't know that obviously about it. So it's like that. I mean, what's the difference if someone fainted on stage? What if someone passed out? What if someone had low blood sugar and stuff like that, or anything like that? It's like if you can't physically do the gig because of your health. I mean, exactly. to call you that's horrendous. Well, yeah, definitely never work with that promoter again. And off air, tell me exactly who it was, and we won't either. So, but no, that's mad. So, I mean, I think in some cases it is getting better. I think I'm really glad that you've not come across that and had that experience. And I'm really sorry for the experience you've had. To be honest, that's horrendous. But talk to me about. You released 3 singles, so talk to me about your writing process, because this always intrigues me, and I know this will intrigue people, because people that people think that people just sit down and literally go, "Ooh, there's a song," and sometimes, that took 2 minutes. Sometimes that does happen. But what I'm really interested in is how you do it, because I always find it slightly different between musician to musician. So talk me through your writing process for, say, one of your singles last year.
One of the singles, Helping Hand, was completely different to how I usually write songs. I actually sat in front, like how I usually write songs is I'll sit down with an acoustic guitar or my bass guitar and just start playing a melody or something, and then figure some lyrics out. I usually do it at the same time, music and the lyrics.
Yeah.
But with Helping Hand, it was just like I went on Logic, which is the software that I use, and I got a MIDI keyboard. I don't even play keyboard. And then started playing this like little jingle or whatever melody that you, and was like, huh, that's quite cool. And I'm quite influenced by 07, so I was kind of going through that like 07 move kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this will be cool. And then I sent it to Miron, and he was like, did some producing. He went, ta-da! And oh my gosh! It can vary from each release. Like Attack, I wrote that probably about 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think of. I wrote it when I was severely anxious and just in a really bad place. And when I used to play it back then, it used to be like it's quite emotive and sad. But now when I play it, I feel like I'm really proud of where I am right now, and I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I'm more secure right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, every song's different.
It's just, it's because I never thought about this, but I've never written a song obviously playing bass guitar. I can't play bass guitar for a start, so that probably is why. But I wouldn't even know how to go about start to write a song, because I'm normally acoustic guitar or electric, or I'll maybe have like a couple of lyrics and stuff. But so how do you write a song on a bass guitar? Is it literally just come up with the melody and then you'll just start riffing over it in your head with lyrics, or will you have a certain lyrics set down already, or is there an idea in your head, or do you pull from something like you said there, experiences you go through?
I definitely am usually inspired by things. I mean, recently there's only so many songs you can write about a pandemic. all the songs recently have been like, oh, it's Groundhog Day again, kind of thing. But with bass, I'm more of like a chord player, even when I'm guitar as well. So I'll just play like, I don't know, some cool chords. And I'm quite influenced by a girl called Tal Wilkenfeld, who used to play bass for Jeff Beck and Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
And she's really cool. She's a girl bass player. That's really cool. And then I was like, I'm going to learn how to play bass. And then I did.
That's amazing. That's class. That's amazing. I mean, I see what you're hearing about the pandemic. We haven't actually written one about it yet. Not deliberately. Just, I'm the same as you. Like when we write stuff, it's normally about experiences or stuff we go through. But I don't know why. It's just not kind of come into my psyche yet. But probably after this, I probably will, to be fair, and go through it. So.
To be fair, I feel like even though I know it's been happening for pretty much a year, over a year or so, it still hasn't fully hit me yet, and I feel like, which is horrible to say, but I feel like there's going to be like a really big wake up call. Like I know how serious it is, it's nothing like that, but I mean like it sucks that you never know what it's really like until someone that you love goes through it. And one of my friends recently was in intensive care due to the COVID, and was really, really close. And now he's out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it really hits you when something like that happens. But it's so awful. There's just no words to say, is there?
No, and I'm so glad your friend's kind of on the road to recovery, which is great. And I think they said this as well. I mean, I think everyone in the industry, the music industry, wants to get back to doing gigs, for the backstage crew, the lighting, the sound engineers, the security, the bar staff, the venues, and that kind of thing. I think we're just one part of it, and this is why I kind of wanted to speak to you as well, because I know you look at things slightly differently. When I look at your posts on social media and stuff, and I really like the way you approach stuff. Because you kind of something right at the start. You said, look, I kind of look at this positively. When I've spoken to most artists and musicians, they're very much like, oh yeah, this, that, and they kind of just spiral into that kind of downward. Yeah. So has there been any times where you've caught yourself doing that, or have you had to have a chat with yourself or your other half?
Yeah, I mean, there has been, I mean, at least once a week I'll have a day where I'm like, it really hits me and I'm like, oh God, I can't do this lockdown thing anymore.
Yeah.
But then you realize why we're in a lockdown, and I'm like, okay, like this is why you got to reevaluate things in your head. But
Mm.
I mean, before the pandemic, I used to be quite, I don't want to say a negative person, but
Mm.
like I used to have a lot of things affect me, and I would just used to spiral and just not be able to cope with anything. And then, and then I went to New Zealand, and it just completely changed my whole life.
Well, to be fair, New Zealand are smashing it in every section known to man at the moment, aren't they? Because they're
I
like,
should have stayed there. I should have stayed there.
yeah, they've got gigs on. I saw that the other day. They've got like there was 20,000 people at a music festival or something. They had like 3 cases or something, and then they just literally closed everything. It just went right, everybody indoors. And I was like, oh my god. It just so what happened in New Zealand then? What gave you that kind of changed mindset? Was it wasn't like scary animals and stuff because that scares the bejesus out of me, to be honest.
No, if anything, it was just like I felt like I was like reborn. I know that sounds really cheesy,
No.
but I just had a different perspective. Like it took me like traveling to the literally other side of the world to be like realize like just appreciate the little things in life and stuff again, and to just like love myself again and all that stuff. But I actually was quite poorly over there when I got hepatitis.
Oh
And
my
I was
word!
really,
That's not quite. That's. I think you're underestimating that. There. That's very poorly. It's just
yeah.
like.
Well, they say I have hepatitis, but that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
And so I was really poorly, and Miran, bless him, really looked after me while I was over there and my family, and it just made me like, even though I felt really, really ill, I'm like, this is still like the most amazing time of my life. Like, it was just crazy. That was obviously towards the end. I was there for 6 weeks.
Isn't it?
So
Isn't it mad how like something like that? It took you going around the entire world pretty much to then sit there and go, do you know what? Everything's kind of all right. But
yeah,
this is
everything's alright.
yeah. It's like
I'm not saying for people to go to the other side of the
no.
world to be poor or anything like that. That's just something that I guess that happened to me.
But it's important though, isn't it, to have that positive mindset and to have that. I think inner. Is it? I don't know if gumption's the right word. I sound about 112 by saying the word gumption. To be honest, having that inner fight or that inner strength, because I think as a musician as well, there's so many things that people will put as blockers, and we don't really see them as blocks or challenges. Like getting gigs or getting airplay and stuff like that. We just see it as it's just the next step. It's just going to be the next kind of fun rider. Do you look at it the same way? Because obviously, how do you
Yeah.
go about that kind of the mental state of being a musician and kind of progressing your career?
I mean, it's constantly like that, isn't it? I do get a lot of like, am I in the right industry? Self-doubt a lot of the time, but I think I don't want to say it's normal, but a lot of people are like that. It's just a human trait, I suppose, sometimes to just to question things. And I think if you change your perspective on that kind of thing and you do question yourself, then always turn it around and be like, why am I doing this though? Oh, because I love it, and then it balances out a bit.
Totally. You're absolutely right. It's like the one thing I always learnt to is gigs, right? So you can play in front of 5,000 people, you can play in front of 5 people, you still have to give that show and do that show. I've done shows where, and I'm sure you've had this experience as well, where you come out and you've played in front of the sound man and probably your mum and dad another half, right? And you come off and you're so like, oh God, I've just worked weeks to get that set list together, I've done that. And they're like, but that was amazing. And it was one time my dad said to me, he goes, look, it doesn't matter who's in the audience, right? Says you're still getting up there and doing it. You're still releasing that thing. And then when you look at it like that, and then when you do like bigger gigs, and we've had people come up to us and go, oh my God, I'd love to do what you do, and that was amazing. And you think, oh yeah, okay, because they physically don't think they can get on that stage, whereas you get on that stage, be it one person being at 10,000 or whatever. So how do you deal with? How do you deal with? I mean, see, now I'm just interested from a musician now. How do you deal with like having a good gig and a bad gig? What do you go through after the gig?
So I guess with a bad gig, it's more. I don't think I've really ever had a bad gig except for that experience that I've mentioned about. I mean, just having to stop after the first set and going home. That wasn't a nice experience, but I haven't really had a bad gig as such where I've come off and been like, oh my God, what have I just done with my life? I've been quite lucky that I've had some really good experiences. I've had a lot of okay experiences as well. But to me, a gig is a gig. It can be to no one. It can be to 5,000 people, like you say. It's still getting on stage and going, this is me. This is my music.
And that's what I love about you, because when I saw you at that Treehouse sessions as well, that instantly comes across.
Oh,
and
thanks.
you literally, you came and you sat down, and I thought, what are we going to get here? I was like, I'm already interested, and you've not even strung a note yet. And I was like, and then you just smashed out this set, and I was like, flipping heck. And that kind of really came across about kind of who you are and stuff, which I think is really important, and how it should be. And I know the audience kind of will vibe off that as well, and your stuff, which is mad. So so that definitely came across with you doing that 100%. Yeah, no, it does. So what's planned? Well, have you got anything planned? Have you got any more releases? You did 3 last year. You got more this year, or are you just seeing what happens? What's on the horizon for Chloe Mogg Music?
I am releasing an album this year.
Nice. Okay.
It's been a long time in the making. Just bouncing through different producers and then going, what songs do I want? And now obviously Miran, my boyfriend, helps me produce, and he's just amazing.
That's amazing. That's really important, though, isn't it? Because I assume that relationship, obviously, he's your other half. So, are there times where creative differences will come in, and you were like, "No, I really want it to go to A minor there," and he's like, "No, it needs to go to D minor." So, or is it?
That's happened. There's one. We've just actually finished track number 4 for the album. And there's a part of it where I'm not going to say much about it, but there's a part of it that that's not quite right to me. And he's like, no, it should be like that. And I'm like, but it is my music, And I'm like, but then he's doing this for me. I'm like, no, you're right. And then he's like, no, you're right. And I'm like, oh.
When have you decided when the album's coming out? Have you got names? Are you going to share anything with us at the moment, or?
So I would like for it to be like November time this year, just so we could just get it right this year. I mean, it's February now, and I'm like, but no, we need to get it out this year, because I've just been saying it every single year for the past 4 years. So I'm like, no, we're just going to do it. I know, it's crazy.
I know, but do you know what? It does take that long. So, because obviously people that will be watching this won't even know the first thing about putting an album together and what you have to go through. Obviously, they'll understand you have to record the songs, but talk a little bit about. You mentioned it earlier about we're going through different producers and stuff like that, because that would be interesting to people. So, what is it with the producer and that engineer and that person that you have to find to get your music in and across?
You need to find someone that understands your music 100%. I mean, Miran's my 4th producer for the album so far. Wow. The first 3, they're amazing producers. I'm not saying anything like that, but they just didn't. I don't want to say didn't understand, because they did understand my music. Like, I'm not saying that either, but it's just I have this vision and they had a different vision. If that makes sense. And you need to just find someone, like, this industry, you need to be picky. You need to go, right, this is my release. It needs to be right. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it needs to be perfect, because what is perfect? But you need to find someone that just gets you. And
it's a really personal thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
And so, no names yet? Are you decided on stuff? Track listings? You're still recording, or is it? Don't reveal anything if you don't want to, by the way.
No, it's fine. We're still recording. So far, all the singles that I have released, which is Attack, Judgment Day, and Helping Hand, they're going on. We've just recorded a song, I might as well say it, called Briny.
Is that I've got an exclusive. I feel proper now.
You know what? I'll even show you the inspiration.
Oh yes. Oh, this is amazing.
Briny is about a teddy bear.
All right. I'll be honest, Chloe, wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like a picture of someone and stuff like that. You've got to tell that. What's that then about? Go on.
So when I was, 7 or 8, I had my tonsils out, and my dad bought me Briny. And the song is a really youthful track, and basically talks about I couldn't find her for years. Like she was lost in my house somewhere.
No way.
Couldn't find her. So the song's quite wacky and it's a bit mad. Let's say that. And yeah, it's basically about like, where are you? I can't find you anywhere.
Amazing.
I did say, I think on my social media, that it sounds a bit like My Bloody Valentine meeting at the Soundgarden. It's quite heavy.
I'm invested now, Chloe. I am really invested in this now because I want to hear that, because that's not where I see your style and what you go for. So I mean, I know I've heard you do stuff like that, but so My Bloody Valentine and Soundgarden, and it's a bit wacky, bit crazy.
It's a bit crazy.
And it's about a teddy bear.
Yeah.
You are a PR person's dream. You do know that, don't you? So.
I mean, I'm one of my first influences when I was at college was Frank Zappa. So, like, having that weird humour stuff that he does, I was like, I'm going to try and incorporate that. And I have tried. So.
Oh my God! Any release dates yet for that single, or are you?
I don't think I'm going to release any more singles. I'm just going to focus on doing the album. But I would like to do some music videos. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there is an incredible guy that I know who's very good, Dave Snockton, and I'll send you his details. He's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. He did Give Me Some Time, Rich Girl videos. So
cool.
Yeah, he did those. He's a really, really nice guy and gets it, and just like really wants to know what you want, rather than just going, right, just play and I'll record you. You know, with some video people do. So I'll send them to you. That's how it is. So, oh my God. So the only kind of last kind of couple of questions I've got for you is, explain the parrot stuff to me, because it intrigues me. Yeah, and the hair, loving that, but because it's such a like iconic image you've got with that, and it's on all your stuff in it, or kind of ingrained in it, isn't it? So talk me through that.
I kind of originally got a parrot logo. I mean, Miron was the person that actually designed. He didn't design it. He got someone else to design it. And it was a Christmas present. It was a surprise, and he got me T-shirts and my own logo, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And but the whole parrot thing came about because when I'm on stage, I do this thing where I just talk utter crap, and that kind of made me think of, because my favourite animal is a parrot anyway, and it kind of made me think of, I'm a bit like a parrot in that aspect.
I love it.
And I will just talk utter nonsense, and I mean, I'm a colourful person, and my whole room is just colourful. But yeah, it kind of came about with that really, and now it's kind of formed into like an alter ego, like having this image is like a safe haven for me. And I mean, like with Mimi and like, you know, the
red stripe,
yeah, exactly. And having that image has just kind of helped me feel a bit more like, you know. I know I've still got the same name and everything, but it's just kind of made me feel a bit more, you know, ease on stage and more.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. That's when, you know, when Mimi was coming up with it, she was like, I want to create this kind of Bowie person, but it's still me, but not me. So, you know, because she's I've seen you two talk to each other, you know each other, but I remember that first meeting, you're very shy, and it's like, oh my God, this is good, you know, you're just like, hiya. It's like, but then when you have that kind of alter ego, you can kind of go behind it. And when people say to me, they're like, oh my God, your wife's like, she's out there, isn't she? She's like jumping off stage. You've seen her, she do it. And then they'll meet her afterwards. She's like, hello. And they're like, who's this? It's just like, it's like, well, that's the persona and the person, isn't it? It's like, that's how it works. Exactly. But no, it's so cool. I'm dead excited now for the Soundgarden My Bloody Valentine album that's coming. It's going to be ace. So, last question from me. If you could give one piece of advice to, be it musician or anything, it doesn't have to be music related, any kind of advice that's helped you or got you through, what would that be?
There's so many. I think the main one is to just be yourself. Like, don't. Actually, no. The main one, thinking about it, is don't compare yourself to others, because.
Great one.
I do it sometimes, and I don't know, I sound a bit like a hypocrite if I'm going to say that, but I'm doing a lot better. Is I'll have other friends that are doing really, really well, and I'm like, oh no, why am I not doing as well as them? and you should never compare yourself, because everyone's on a different road, a different path, and everyone's just gonna, get to a different level at different times. That's just the way that the world turns.
Us musicians do this all the time.
I think it is a musician trait, isn't it?
All the time, right? And we've had so many conversations in our band and with Mimi and other musicians and stuff like that. That it's a great piece, and I think it's a good piece of advice for anyone in general, because
different walks of life. I mean, any kind of person, any artist or photographer, or working in the supermarket, anything.
I love it.
Always be yourself.
No, I love it. Fantastic. Well, that's all my questions out. If you've got any questions for me or anything else you want to say, but I'm good. You smashed it as per usual.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
No worries. I will take you off the screen now with my magic super laptop powers. So thank you so much for being on, Chloe. And it's at Chloe Mogg Music is your...
Music on Facebook, and then everything else is at Chloe Mogg.
At Chloe Mogg. So at Chloe Mogg. Facebook is at Chloe Mogg Music. We'll put all the links and stuff in. But thank you so much for being on Moving the Spotlight and kind of showing behind of how a songwriter works and stuff like that. That's amazing. And I will stay there though. I'll talk to you afterwards, because I have to look here and here, and I feel weird because these interviews I have to look there, and everyone's like can see like my chin. So I'm like, very sorry, Chloe. But yeah, give me 2 secs and I'll come back to you.
Okay, cool.
So that was Chloe Mogg from Moving the Spotlight this episode. Please join us next time when we'll be interviewing more people within the music industry in all different walks of life to give you an idea of what they go through and what they happen in the real life of the music industry. So yeah, thank you much. See you soon. Bye.